Whoa! Turn off. Oh my god, there's a camera on me here. Then it must be time for... From that secret location, way down in the bowels of historic downtown St. John's, comes one of your favorite comic shows of all time in the Library of Graphic Literature. With your host, the Freakazoid, me, Wallace Ryan. Blah. How's everything going there, folks? This was one of those rare double shipment weeks out here on the far eastern reaches of North America. Last week, due to high seas, and there's not many people who can say that, we didn't get our comic shipment in, and finally arrived on Tuesday of this week. And then, of course, the new comic showed up today, Thursday. Just for those who don't know, out here on the island, we get our comics one day late, which can actually be a good thing. Anyway, that being said, it was a nice little shipment of comics anyway. Some good books, some cool toys and stuff, and some great books. Anyway, the books. Let's get down to the books. Had a nice, actually, little stack of them there this week. Let's see what we have there. We'll start actually with, strangely enough, we not only had one Marvel Masterworks this week, we had two Marvel Masterworks this week. Blah, 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 blah. And we all love our Marvel Masterworks. So, quite the week for you Marvel Masterworks fans, and I know there's a lot of you out there. Let's start with The Thing and Doc Savage. So, well, that's for that episode. With Marvel 2-in-1, which features The Thing and Doc Savage in one of the stories. It's been a long day. So, let's pop this baby open here. Come on, you. Okay. I always go for these over the Marvel ones just because I like the much bigger picture here. Very simple. Now back to the content itself. Marvel 2-in-1. This I like because this was around the time that I'd started to read more Marvel comics and all that. I've always been a DC kind of kid growing up, but I made my way into Marvel in the mid 70s, and actually, Marvel 2-in-1 was one of my favorite comics. Very, very underrated. But there was something about it. I mean, I liked Fantastic Four, and The Thing looked kind of cool, and I bought one or two, and I kept on buying them. Let's see what we have here. Oh, pencilers, Ron Wilson, the great Ron Wilson. Ernie Chan, also known as Ernie Chua. Mary Severin, good old Mary. Sal, and John Buscema. So we have a real who's who of art for this issue. Now there was just something very, very neat and super cool about Marvel 2-in-1. I don't know what it was. The stories were great. I love the stories. Marv Wolfman. I'm not sure who else besides Wolfman. I think it was Bill Mantlo, and even a couple by Big Jim Shooter. Like I say, it's one of these strange comics. You never know really why you're into it or whatever, but I just kept buying them and kept reading them, and loved it. Anyway, let's have a close-up look here. Here we have Marvel 2-in-1 with the Doc Savage. This is Ron Wilson artwork here. Very utilitarian type of artwork. Mr. Wilson, but there's still something neat about his style. It was very plain, but still kind of neat. Now, let's go through here. Here is The Thing with Thor. And here he is with Black Goliath, who was kind of a cool superhero, I thought, at the time. Let's see, what else do we have in here? That's Nick Fury, yep. Good old Nick. And Deathlock, of course. A visit from the future. And oh, Shang-Chi, Spider-Woman, Nighthawk, who was always one of my favorite heroes, and Skull the Slayer. This issue actually I really liked. I was a big fan actually of Ernie Chan. I keep thinking of him as Ernie Chua, just because that's what he was called when I first seen him. But there's something about his style I really liked. I can't even really say what it is, but it just attracted me. And way to go, Marvel 2-in-1. And funny enough, it's now again come back around, and Marvel 2-in-1 is probably one of Marvel's better written titles out there today, to be quite honest. Now, okay, one Marvel Masterworks down, another one up here. This is the Marvel Masterworks for Ka-Zar, or Ka-Zar, whatever way you want to pronounce it. I think Ka-Zar sounds a little bit better. This has a real who's who, well, not a real who's who, well, kind of maybe a hint of a who's who of different comic book artists from the 70s. This one, I didn't actually read a lot of this series. I'd read a lot of the earlier ones that were in some of the earlier Astonishing Tales and stuff like that, and I kind of liked him as a bit character, you know, when he was with the X-Men or when he appeared in other ones. I thought he was, you know, one of these great guest star type of characters. But I mean, he obviously deserved his own book. In this too, we have a lot of stories by Mike Frederick, Steve Gerber, and even a couple from Carol Soule. There's a name of some comic book royalty. In terms of the artists, there are a lot of artists actually in this book. I kind of like it when you get a good mixture of artists. In this one here, we have everyone from Ross Andrew, Don Heck, Dan Atkins, Jim Starlin, one of my favorites, Murray Severn, Warner Roth, George Tuska, very underrated artist, I always thought. Paul Reinman, Mike Royer, better known as one of Jack Kirby's inkers, Bob Brown, Sal Buscema, and last and certainly not least, Gene Colan. So yeah, the Gene Colan ones are actually from Daredevil. So it's the ones where Ka-Zar crosses over into Daredevil. So here we'll have a quick look at a couple of these here now. Ka-Zar. There we go. Some cool stuff. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but my brother is watching the Women Worlds Curling International. For any of you people out there who are curling fans, tune into it. I think Canada is in the lead too. Anyway, back to this book. So pretty darn cool. Should be a good read anyway. I'm looking forward to this. Especially anything, you know, any book that has a little bit of Gene Colan in it can't be all that bad. Love the Gene. There's the Mandrill. He's one evil looking dude. And then a few pages of art. So, like I say, this week, one of the rare double Masterworks weeks. So, I recommend for you Marvel fans out there, pick these up, see what you think. Okay, let's move along. Staying with Marvel, another biggie, the Avengers Omnibus, Volume 3. And this one has Avengers 59 to 88. So it starts just after the first appearance of the Vision and goes right up, well, into 88. So basically there's this actually has quite a few different artists. Some Gene Colan, actually he did a couple of issues there. A lot of these I actually had when I was a kid. So there were a couple of issues by Gene Colan, some John Buscema, some Sal Buscema. Nice all round mix of any of you Avengers fans out there. And this, to me, this was some of the best artwork I think that Buscema did while on Avengers. I think this is. It took him a while. I think once he got going and was on it for a long time, he really seemed to settle in with the Avengers. And I love John Buscema. John Buscema, I think, really is one of the most super underrated artists out there. Oh, and another thing too is we even have an issue by Barry Smith, or now known as Barry Windsor Smith, one of my other big time favorites. So like I say, this one, some really great, so here we go. Yeah, John, Sal, Gene Colan, Barry Windsor Smith, Frank Garcoa, not a big fan, Herb Trimpe, and Howard Purcell. Roy Thomas wrote most of this, except for one issue in this, number 88, and Incredible Hulk number 140, which was written by one of my all-time favorite writers, Harlan Ellison. Loved Harlan Ellison. He's just so one of the premier science fiction writers, or writers of the 70s and all that. And it's too bad that there's. I go into stores, I don't even see any Harlan Ellison there on the stands anymore. I don't know what it is. But anyway, back to this. There's a lot of great John Buscema artwork here. A couple of the few rare Gene Colan Avengers. He did a run later on in the Avengers in the, I guess it was in the 80s, yeah. And it was okay, but my favorite stuff of Gene's is still a lot of his earlier stuff. So I'll show you. Oh, cool cover too, of course. Love these covers. Oh, and there's the logo there. Yeah, I might as well take this off to make it easier to hold up to show you fine folk out there. Now this, of course, there's the Gene Colan. It's kind of cool seeing Gene Colan doing the Vision. And this is the other issue here. Another issue, and this is the. I think, is that the Barry Windsor Smith, or is it? I think that's the Herb Trimpe. So yeah, Buscema, I just loved his action with John Buscema now with it. And Sal, I mean, Sal's, like I say, a very competent, he's a good storyteller, was the thing with Sal. He may not have been as cool an artist in terms of dynamic as his brother, but still pretty good. I always loved this one of Goliath punching into the side of the building there. But yeah, this is classic late 60s Avengers. There we go. Some more John Buscema. Let's jump over this into some more John. I mean, look at that super dynamic work there. Well, here we go. And let's jump ahead a bit here. See what we can find. Oh yeah, Valkyrie, always one of my favorite characters. And oh, there's the Sal Buscema Hulk. Sal actually did a great job at that. Here we have Herb Trimpe layout anyway. I'm sure I got that a couple of times. And we end off this issue with the Black Knight. I always thought this was a cool one. I kind of liked the Black Knight. I don't know why the character never seemed to take off. And of course, here's a little bit of a from Not Brand Deck. So all in all, one of my more favorite acquisitions today, the Omnibus. I love these omnibuses. I started out collecting mainly Marvel Masterworks and all that, but as the collection grew and I started to buy some of these omnibuses, I started to sell off some of my Masterworks, and So I'm at the point now where, like, everything from Avengers, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, a lot of them I do have them starting out in Omnibus, and then for the later ones I have them in Masterworks. And of course, any of the newer titles coming out in Masterworks, I just get them in the Masterworks. But yeah, I love the omnibus format from DC and from Marvel. Both of them are doing great things with omnibuses. Speaking of doing great things with books, as soon as I get this one cut open and freed from its plastic prison, we have yet another volume of Abe Sapien, blah, 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 the man from beneath the waves. Now, someone keeps telling me that I should read the BPRD book before I get into reading too much of this run of Dark and Terrible of Abe Sapien, because it occurs later. So I'm just going to give it a quick flick through here. And these I haven't read, but I mean, I'm a huge fan of the BPRD and of Abe Sapien, so I'm just assuming that I'm going to love this book. I've loved every single thing I've read in the Magnolia universe, or the Magnoliaverse up to now. So I'm just assuming this will fall into the same category. And there's some... I always love these sort of extras, the sketches, even the script, stuff like that. I actually teach comics too, and I love bringing in books that have, the sketches, the pencils, the sort of roughs, anything like that, any sort of the background materials. I love to see. Pardon me for knocking my knife over there. Whew! And last and definitely not least, for this week is a really, really cool book from my good buddy Craig Yoe. Way to go, Craig. You really hit it out of the park with this one, I gotta say. This is We Spoke Out, Comic Books, and the Holocaust. And it's kind of sad in these days that we got to remind people of the Holocaust, because you got a lot of nuts out there denying the Holocaust and all that, and it's just rotten. So I'm glad to see people like Craig and Neil Adams and Raphael Medov, who put together this really super cool collection of comics related to the Holocaust. In this day of Trumpian excess and all that, we actually unfortunately need sort of reminders of our humanity, and I think that Craig really did it with this one. And this is really cool because it has actually a lot of modern things in it. From Craig, we're used to getting a lot of old classic comics from the 40s, 50s, and so on. And and I love those, of course. But this was kind of neat because it's all basically newer material. Now, one of the cool things in this is this has, to me, what's one of the most avant-garde in terms of the EC Comics stories of them all, the classic Master Race from Bernie Kriegson. And I know that my buddy Paul Tucker, IDW artist and pal and creative partner there, he loves this story. And justifiably so. It's an absolutely amazing story. Years ahead of its time. Desert Fox, another cool story there. Here we go. The Maidanek, Experiment in Fear. Yeah, this one is from one's from one of the area creepy magazines. I can't remember which one, but I love this Gene Colan. It's sort of inked, and this is actually Gil Kane, Captain Marvel, another one of my favorite, another one of my heroes. Love Gil Kane's artwork. He's top notch. No one out there quite like him. And of course, Captain Marvel, or Marvel as I like to say, one of my favorite. And here's another classic too. This one I had as a kid. I can remember it had the corner cut out of it. It's Night of the Reaper. It's yet another story about the big parade that they hold in, what's the name? Rutland, their Halloween parade. And and in this scene actually, there's even a lot of comic book artists. I think that's Len Wein. I think that's Wrightson. But anyway, some great work from Mr. Neil Adams. Always one of my favorite stories. And they all, like I say, have some sort of theme, something to do with the Nazis and the Holocaust. This is one of my favorite wartime covers. So, and the Unknown Soldier, one of the most underrated of the war comics. Loved Unknown Soldier. And then Thou Shalt Not Kill. Some more great work from Mr. Neil Adams. War is Hell, and by the great George Evans. Another great artist. Let's see, what else do we have here? Mark R. Graves. The Losers. Always liked The Losers. And look at that. Talk about dramatic. I mean, look at that panel there. Especially on the bottom there. Right? Beauty. So it's an absolutely amazing book. I remember actually having this comic when I was a kid. Rick Estrada. I liked actually Rick Estrada when he inked himself. It's kind of cool, actually. Holocaust. So yeah. So yeah, for you folks out there who believe in freedom and the like, it's definitely a book worth checking out. And once again, kudos to Craig and them for putting out a book that's unfortunately necessary in these terrible times we live in. That being said, that's it for this week. I mean, we were lucky this week. We really got 2 in the Library of Graphic Literatures in 1 week. So I guess now it's up to next week now. So in the meantime, keep on reading, and I'll see you at the comic book shop. Okay, love you folks. Bye.